Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of WNBL iTV. Darren Boyd alongside Laurie Chiswick. And Laurie, it's fantastic. We've reached the halfway point of the WNBL season for this year. The season could not be more evenly poised. And even better for you, my moustache is gone.
I was going to say, Darren, I wasn't really sure who was sitting next to me there, but it's good to see it shaved off and you're looking nice and clean and young.
Yeah, young. Thank you very, very much. You're also looking very youthful with that. Is that the Rachel Herrick hairdo?
It is, yes. From our previous previews, I've taken that hairdo, Rachel, and just put it not quite as high as you do, but yes, thanks for those tips.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to. We'll have to get some feedback from Rachel and all the girls around the league. Exactly how that's travelling. All right, well, what a weekend we've had. What an astonishing game that we saw on Friday night with the ABC game between Bulleen and Sydney.
Well, Darren, talk about, comebacks, injury, all those sorts of things. Unfortunately, this game had it all.
It did, and Catherine Murphy with the news a bit later on has got the full report on the extent of Eva Efiaki's injury. It was just horrible to watch Eva. Been around the league for so long, such a good player and a pivotal member of Sydney's side on and off the court, go down with what looked like a very serious knee injury after 6 seconds. But for them to come out and be able to lead by 27 points on the back of just some all-around brilliant play from, in particular, Belinda Snell was astonishing.
Well, it looked like Bulleen were actually in shock, not so much Sydney, and they took it right to them, especially on the back of Belinda Snell, who scored 23 points in 15 minutes of play. Bulleen were happy that she got into foul trouble.
But then for Bulleen to come back shows the depth of their resolve and also their talent. Here's Rachel Jarry with a three-point shot very late in the game, tying things up, and then just getting to within 2 points, and then Liz Cambage was able to tie things up. But for Sydney to come away with the win in the last 7 seconds, tell us about it.
Well, that last pass by Alicia Poto to Katie Ray Ebsry, who, you now understand she's played almost 40 minutes, and she has run as hard as she could, as quick as she was at the beginning of the game. Pinpoint pass and lays it up to take the victory. We were astonished.
Yeah, I think whoever was commentating was certainly jumping up and down.
That would be us for sure.
I think so. Having watched the game tape back, it was it was worthwhile though. It was a remarkable thing. Katie Ebsry after the game said, "Well, I just had to run. All I had to do was run and catch Potsy's pass. It was just absolutely perfect, and then lay it up. It wasn't that hard." But as you said, the gut running and the determination of that side was really brilliant.
And, Darren, as soon as that siren went, the entire Sydney Flames team went straight to the sideline where Eva was, and were just all around her, and everybody was ecstatic.
Yeah, it was a brilliant win by the Sydney Uni Flames, and commiserations to Danny. They fought it, at Bulleen rather, they fought it out right to the end. Just didn't quite have the advantage when they needed it. Also on Friday nights, as we continue our review of round 9, up in Townsville, the Fire jumped out on the Logan Thunder, and this would be really concerning for Olaf Lang and his coaching staff, Laurie, just scoring 4 points in a quarter. They ended up losing the game by 9, but gee, you don't want to start a game like that, do you?
No, and I'm sure Townsville were really prepared. We talked about how they weren't really in form and that they really needed to, go back to basics, and I'm sure that's what Chris Lucas did, and he would have had them primed and ready to go against Logan.
It had been a tough week for them as well with one of their imports, Vivian Frierson, who hadn't been putting out great numbers, but she decided to, for a range of different reasons, we understand, return to the United States. So they've got some jobs that are going to need to be done by young players like Nadine Payne and also Ali Manu, who's been around the league a couple of years and really is playing a good supporting role off the bench.
Well, they do, because we have the stock standard. Dowdle is doing a good job, and so is Flanagan's doing a good job. So those other supporting casts, they will need to step up a little bit.
The Canberra Capitals had a week or so, more than a week in fact, to prepare to go over to Perth and take on the West Coast Waves, and they got the job done fairly easily in the end. 17 points. Bridget Ardossi leading the way, her WNBL career high. The Dandenong Rangers had to take on the Sydney Uni Flames on Saturday night, Laurie, and really tough for the Flames to back up after such an emotional performance and a physically draining performance on Friday night, and the Rangers got the job done pretty comfortably.
Oh, you can understand that they would have gone into that really fatigued, like you say, mentally and physically. And to make those adjustments needed, I think that game against Bulleen, they were probably got that win on adrenaline part of it. But then to sort of come back down to reality, it was always going to be a tough ask.
Well, talking about coming down to reality, the AIS did, after upsetting Townsville last week, they were restricted to just 30 points against the Bendigo Spirit. The Spirit had a point to prove after a pretty disappointing performance in their eyes the week before at Dandenong, going down to the Rangers, and the 71 to 30 point win was their reward. And in the final game of the weekend on Sunday, the Canberra Capitals flew out of the blocks, Laurie, a real return to form for some of their key players, but unfortunately against the ladder leaders, they couldn't sustain it.
Well, Jess Bibby was on fire, and we know she hasn't been shooting the ball particularly well all season, so it was great to see her come out and just really light it up. And the scores were tied with 3 minutes to go, Darren, but I think, and talking to Carrie Graff, absolutely some fatigue mistakes down the track. They were really only with 7 players because Hannah Boley had an injury and didn't even travel with them. So I think they went with 9, really played 7. And, you know, Adelaide's got to be happy with that draw a couple of times where they play teams on the back of travelling to West Coast and playing them. Oh,
don't mention the draw, Laurie. It's too hard. And even this week, there's a couple little finicky things coming up, but we'll get to that in a few minutes' time when we start to preview the round 10 matches that are coming up. But, Laura, it's time for you to take a break because you're getting subbed out again. You know, I know you don't like that, but Catherine Murphy's standing by at the news desk, and when Catherine has finished reporting on all the latest news around the WNBL, Rachel Jarry, will be joining us in the studio. Catherine?
Thanks for that, guys. This week's Player of the Week is Belinda Snell after she starred for Sydney Uni in their win over Bulleen on Friday night. She racked up 30 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists and 3 steals, and she managed to also catch up with our own Laurie Chiswick to discuss her career so far, as well as reaching that 200th game milestone at the weekend.
So you've been named in the WNBL All-Star 5 3 times, and you've won 2 championships. First with the Institute, way back when it was your very first year in 98-99, and then followed on 2 years later when it was with the Sydney Panthers, I think they were then. Yeah. What are your memories from those championships, Belinda?
Ooh, it was a long time ago, I can tell you that. But yeah, with the AIS, it was amazing, and you know, being so young, you didn't realise how important and how unreal it is to win a championship. So yeah, that was a huge highlight, and also with the Sydney Panthers, it was amazing and fantastic to win them too.
You were with some pretty incredible players at that Institute win, some that you're playing with the Opals right now. But tell me, AIS Sydney are your 2 WNBL clubs. Mm-hmm. When you came back, was there any chance you were going to ever play with anybody else, or was it always going to be Sydney?
Yeah, I don't know. I just really enjoy playing in Sydney and have a great friends and supporter base in Sydney, and yeah, it was a good decision, I think, and especially with Karen Dalton knowing the way I play, and just getting to play again under her. It's been a lot of fun so far, and yeah, I really enjoy being back here.
So finally, Belinda, you've played with the Opals in 2 World Championships and 2 Olympic Games. Do you think that next year we can get that elusive gold medal win at the London Olympics?
Yeah, for sure. I think if we can, you know, if we can focus and have a great preparation, and yeah, I think anyone on any given day we can, we can, yes.
Well, you play your 200th game this weekend, Belinda, and congratulations on reaching that wonderful milestone, and all the best for the rest of the season for yourself and for your Sydney Flames.
Okay, thank you very much, Laurie.
Well done to her. Well, Sydney Uni were, of course, without their own Eva Efiaki for the majority of that game. She injured her knee in the first 5 seconds, and unfortunately it's very bad news for her and the club. She has ruptured her patella tendon and is set to have surgery in the next week, meaning she is out for the rest of the season. Well, after that bad news, we finish on a more light-hearted note, and a very happy birthday to our guest who's just joined us in studio. Rachel Jarry just turned 20 yesterday. So, Darren, I'm hoping that you've got some sort of birthday cake or present arranged.
Well, thanks, Catherine. Thanks for putting me in it. I actually thought that perhaps shaving off my mustache might have been present enough, Rachel. But if you require something a bit more, we can sort something out, I'm sure.
The mo's a good start.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, happy birthday anyway.
Thank you.
How have the celebrations been? Get out and have a couple of drinks and relax, or has it been all business as usual?
It's been pretty quiet. We actually went out as a team on Monday night because it was Joe's birthday on Monday as well. So, yeah, we had a good team dinner and it was fun. Fantastic.
Well, I suppose the best way to celebrate is with a couple of wins. You've got a big week coming up. But before we get into that, we'll look back at what happened last weekend. And, you know, it was an amazing game, wasn't it? I mean, for you guys to be trailing Sydney by 27 points, but then to get all the way that back to suffer the heartbreak at the end. I mean, how do you assess something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you just can't give up those starts, really. Yeah. That's how we have to look at it. And the end was unfortunate. We had so many defensive transition breakdowns, and that got us in the end. So, yeah, it was a strange game. Like, we were still 10 points down with 90 seconds to go, and somehow got close. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been that sort of season though with you guys. You've had some fantastic wins and some close losses, but even some of your wins have been sort of come from behind. How are you assessing it, and what about the coaching staff?
Yeah, I mean, we have got out of jail a few times. 2 games against Dandenong come to mind.
Yeah.
I mean, we know we can play really well. Imagine if we played like we do when we're 20 points behind for a whole game. It would be pretty hard to stop. So that's the challenge, really. And the coaching staff are pretty hard on us because they know what we can do. So, and we know that in ourselves. So we're just trying to work our way out of it.
Yeah, and what about so I guess the expectations on the team are pretty strong internally. I think externally they've been strong for the last couple of years, but it's a very different team with a lot of young players like yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a bit of the unknown and, getting Jo in from the UK, how she was going to fit in, but she's done really well. So, yeah, I mean, everyone's sort of improved and shown enough that we can be a contender this year. So we do have high expectations, and so we should.
All right, well, one of the things we try and do here on WNBL iTV is actually get to know a little bit more about you and about the other people that we have on the program. So what about away from the court? What keeps you occupied? Work or study or any other activities you'd like to share with all of our viewers out there?
Yeah, I do a bit of study, I try to. I'm studying communications, and that keeps me pretty busy, but I've worked in a few schools doing admin stuff, and I just like going to the beach and getting a tan.
Yeah, well, so you should be playing for the Logan Thunder, I think. Certainly some of those girls do pretty well. Well, I don't know if it's in the tanning salons or if they actually get to hit the beach up there. What do you reckon?
Yeah, they actually, I don't know. I think a few of them have the orange fake tan going on, but never mind.
I actually read an article Melissa Marsh wrote. She writes a column for one of the Western Australian papers and did say that the game was coming up, a TV game, and all the girls got out their fake tan and makeup and everything. Is that something the Bulleen girls get into as well?
Not really. We try to keep it natural, so safely natural with a lot of sunscreen. But I think some of the girls would cop it if they rocked up to a game orange.
Right, fair enough too. All right, now I wanted to play a little bit of word association with you. I don't know if you ever played a game like this, but I'll start easy and then we'll see if we can build up. St Kilda Football Club.
My one true love.
Your one true love. With a roll of the eyes there as well. I wonder what that means.
They break my heart.
Every year.
Yeah. So
very
I'll
tough.
stick with them.
Okay. What about movies? What are you into? Are you somebody who likes a tearjerker or?
Not really. I like a bit of action, bit of fantasy. I'm a Harry Potter fan.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You weren't sort of out in the Twilight mob the other week, or?
My sister did drag me along to Twilight, so her boyfriend was overseas, so I got the job of going along with her. But no, not exactly a Twilight fan.
Yeah, I've heard it was a bit of a chore as well, I have to say. What about coaches' pets?
The girls would want me to say me.
I actually had that down as a question mark, whether it might be you. But,
he does love Sammy, though.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it just depends. He can change from time to time.
All right. What about your goals for the rest of the year? as far as your personal goals and obviously the team goal you're going to say is win the championship, but personally?
Personally, I think I've had a pretty consistent season so far, so I just want to keep with that and just keep improving. And I mean, obviously my goal next year is to make the Olympics and everything, so just everything's working towards that. All
right, and final one, you're going to get off the hook here. I had quite a few other little tasty ones here that we might have been able to throw at you, but we're getting the wind-up from our producers. Now, who are you going to beat in the grand final?
Oh, gosh. I'll go with Adelaide at the moment. They're going really well. All
right, well, all the best, Rachel. Thank you very much for coming in and having a chat with us on WNBL iTV. And
thank you.
We know you've got to get off to training, so I'll let you go. Good luck with everything for the rest of the year. And while Rachel's stepping out and Laurie is stepping back in, let's just have a look at the ladder as it stands at the halfway point of the WNBL season. So that's the ladder as it stands, with the Lightning still out on top, the Flames up in second, the Townsville Fire back up to third, Laurie, as you shuffle in beside me, and the Logan Thunder drop out this week.
Well, you know, when you look at the ladder, and one thing I think Adelaide certainly deserved to be on top, but it's a bit hard to really read it because you look, Canberra's played 12 games compared to Logan and Belinda only 9, so there's still that unequality as far as number of games played when you're looking through it, but very close.
Yeah, it is poised superbly, I think we can say, at the halfway point of the season. All right, we say every week we want you to write in and get in contact with us on Facebook and also on Twitter. The WNBL has got their Facebook page. Make sure you jump on there and like it. I'm sure you've already done that.
Yes,
We've
absolutely.
already spoken about that. Yeah, and we can tweet us individually or tweet at WNBL as well. And we've had a viewer question this week come from Rob Campbell. And Rob's question, Laurie, and I'll let you take the first crack at this, is who would be your All-Star 5 if you were to pick one right now? Now, Rob's put in his view, Kathleen McLeod, Jenna O'Hea, Belinda Snell, Susie Batkovich and Liz Cambage. Do you agree with Rob, or would you make a couple of changes to that All-Star 5?
Certainly, I would agree with 4 of them. Kath McLeod. To me, real definites are Kath McLeod, Belinda Snell, Susie Batkovich. I would definitely, at this stage, put in Jenna. I think with her overall game and what she's doing, certainly she should be there. I would disagree with Liz Cambage right at this stage, and I would have...
Controversial.
I would have Kayla Francis in there. And I would have Kayla Francis because she has been, I don't know if it's every game, but very close to every game, she's scoring a double-double. And one of the few players that is, I think it's only her and Susie that are recording those double-doubles. And I just think that she's having a huge impact defensively as well. She's up there in the blocks. So she, right now, at this stage of the season, would be my 5th player in there.
What about Shanavia Dardell from Townsville?
Now, I know that that's somebody that you've talked about. Well, I would consider. I think she's had a very solid season so far. But I think when you look at the stats, she's just slightly below Kayla in the points for and the rebounds, and she doesn't feature in the blocks. So
I got a view maybe she's doing more to influence her team winning games. But, you know, that's why it's all very subjective, isn't it? It's an interesting little debate. But make sure you do get in contact with us with your questions, and we'll do our very best to answer them. Laurie will answer them intelligently. I'll just answer them in whatever way I choose in this seat. All right, let's get to look at what's coming up in round 10, and we're starting off with a cracker on Wednesday night at the Bendigo Stadium, and it's going to be on WNBL Radio. I'm actually going to enjoy going out there and calling that game for WNBL Radio. The Bendigo Spirit hosting the Bulleen Boomers. Laurie, who's going to win?
Well, I actually might be up there for the National Schools Championship, and Wesley College are entered in that, and so I think they'll get a great crowd because they've certainly encouraged all the teams that are up there participating in that to go. And it's such an important game for both teams. You know, we're coming into that Christmas break. You want to feel like you're on top of things. I think that on Bulleen's, the back of Bulleen's loss, that they just won't let another one slip. Having said that,
that's
Darren,
what we thought last week.
Yeah, exactly. And Bendigo seemed to have Bulleen's number. Bendigo are not afraid of Bulleen one little bit.
They've beaten them the last 2 times they played. Once was last year when Bendigo were the only side to beat Bulleen from round 2 until the grand final, which Bulleen won. And then they also beat them pretty comfortably in round 2 this year by 12 points at the Veneto Club.
It was a shooting bonanza, if I can remember that. And having said that, though, Christy Harrow was 100% during that game. Last weekend she played about 20 minutes, so she's certainly on track. But again, she's always a huge factor.
All right, well, if you're in the area, try and get down to the Bendigo Stadium. And if you're not, make sure right around the country you can tune in live on WNBL radio from around about 7:15 Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time through the WNBL website. Coming up on Friday, the West Coast Waves are hosting the Logan Thunder. That was very, very close between those two sides a fortnight ago, Laurie. The Waves almost scored a huge upset, but Logan will need to show a bit more form in this time around.
Well, I just don't think, I think at this time of year, going into the Christmas break, everybody wants to be on top of things, and I don't think Logan will leave anything for chance. I think West Coast is just that little bit slim in their positions that Logan will get over the line.
The first matchup this year, quite surprisingly, has come at round 10 between the Canberra Capitals and the Sydney Uni Flames. It's our match for broadcast on Saturday afternoon on ABC TV, and it's actually going to be live in some of the states as well, Laurie. Check your local guides, but it'll be on at 1 o'clock. The Capitals have shown some signs in recent weeks, but their wins have come against sides right down the bottom of the ladder.
Well, they have, Darren, but certainly they'd feel confident going in against Sydney and with the absence of Eva, because it does take some teams time to make those sort of adjustments. And I was wondering whether Nat Porter might be back for this game, but she's not. I spoke to Carrie Graff, but I still think that Canberra will be pretty confident going into that game.
Sydney have managed to sign a new player this week, or they're about to sign a new player this week. Abby Schrader, a 6'2", 6'3" American who's over here for work, actually. She's been training with the Flames throughout the season and knows their offensive sets and things like that. Spoke to Karen Dalton, not expecting her to see big minutes, but it's a bit of depth now that Eva's gone down, had the horrible injury, and somebody hopefully to support Amy Denson and Elise Ironmonger.
Well, we know that we've talked about Sydney not having depth, so certainly they need that extra person, especially with Natalie Stafford still out. And for Canberra, Dossie's had a good weekend, so hopefully she can kick on. But I think Canberra might get it done, Darren.
Okay, watch out for the upset there. Adelaide Lightning hosting the Logan Thunder, and there's the draw again, Laurie. The Thunder coming in 2 games in 2 days. They've got to travel to Adelaide to take on the Red Hot Lightning.
Well, the Lightning would love the fact that they're playing them on the back of those West Coast games, and this is actually the first time, again, these two teams have met and that we see Kayla Francis and Susie Bakovic up against each other, the top 2 rebounders in the competition.
We're expecting an email soon from Peter Buckle telling us about the times when Adelaide have got to go and play teams the other side. They've already had one, actually. They had one over here. They played Bendigo, then Bulleen, and they did struggle in that Bulleen game. So I think it does even itself out in the end. But anyway, we might do an analysis of that over the Christmas break. There's some homework for you. The Bendigo Spirit and the AIS. The Spirit got the job done really comfortably last weekend, winning by 40. The AIS got a lot to do to improve on that. But it's been a bit happening off the court as well for them this past week or so. Well,
they've had a few injuries, and we know Beck Cole at the very beginning of the season impacted on them. But I spoke to Beck, and she's had her second surgery a couple of weeks ago. She's now not limping, she says, which is a really good thing. And she's heading to the Institute in January to rehab there for a couple of months. So everything seems to be on track for Beck.
Yeah, good news. Hopefully she has a very, very speedy recovery. The Townsville Fire and the Dandenong Rangers, it's one of the matches of the round on Saturday night up there in Townsville. And the Fire get a chance for a little bit of revenge, having gone down so narrowly to the Rangers in Melbourne a few weeks ago. This one is important because these sides only play each other twice, and with Dandenong only holding a 4-point advantage head-to-head, this is a pivotal match.
Well, when you go into a game like that, you always have to think, get the win first.
Yeah.
Forget about the margins, but that'll certainly be in the player's mind and the coach's mind that if they're ahead, they want to make sure they try and get that margin by 5 points to go head-to-head, because we've seen the ladder and we see how close it is.
Can you pick a winner?
Oh, Darren. I'm going to sit on the fence for this one. How about you? What's your pick for this one?
Townsville at home. There we go. Bulleen in the AES. I'm going to pick Bulleen in this one. Just
Get in there early.
Live, yeah. Tom Maher's 300th game. What a champion of this competition he's been. 8 times he's been a championship winning coach, as well as everything else that he's done over his career in basketball. Just the third person to coach 300 games in this competition. Carrie Graff and Phil Brown, the others. You imagine they'd be able to mark this occasion appropriately.
I think so. I'm sure, they'll get the win over the Institute. They'll be able to celebrate for Tom Maher, and really, congratulations. It's a wonderful, wonderful milestone.
All right, well, that's it for round 10 of the WNBL, and that's it for this edition of WNBL iTV. Please make sure you stay in contact with us, as we keep saying every week. Be a part of this show through Facebook and Twitter, and be a part of the WNBL. I'll be back here next week, but you're already off. You're having a holiday.
Yes, Darren, I'm not around anymore. I'm heading overseas for the Christmas break, so I'd just like to say an early Merry Christmas to everybody, and I will see everybody back in the new year.
Fantastic, Laurie. Have a great trip. And as for all of you, wherever you're watching WNBL ITV, I look forward to your company again next week, where I'll have a very special co-host, whoever that may be. You'll have to tune in to find out. We'll see you then.